Good afternoon. This is Brent Haggerty from Gulf Premier Sarasota, and I'm going to encourage you, if you're a first-time homeowner, never maybe had a home in Florida or elsewhere, and you have been discouraged, I want you to be encouraged today because the market is changing in Sarasota. It's to the advantage of the buyer. It's still a seller's market, but the advantage is coming your way. So today, I want to offer you 6 ways that you can prepare to get into the game, and it's going to be a process, not an event, but I think that you'll be encouraged today. Would you do me a favor? Before we get started, would you hit the subscribe button? Would you hit the share button? Would you ding that bell on the notifications? And then we'll get started with 6 ways that you can improve your chances of winning a contract and being a first-time homeowner right here in Sarasota, Florida. It has been said by many that if you keep doing that which you've already done, you can expect to get more of that which you've already got. So if you have had trouble getting into the market before because you've been short of funds, today I want to challenge you to have a change of mind, make a decision, and then manage that decision for the next 52 weeks. You're going to see a change in your life. Let me show you how. Most of us would like to have $4,800, and I'm suggesting that you already have it, but you don't recognize it. So I want to just tell you a little story and illustrate why I think you have more money than you think you do. Let's say that you go to McDonald's and you get a Big Mac combo meal. That's going to cost you $5.99. Then you go to Chick-fil-A maybe the next day and you get a Chick-fil-A sandwich combo. That's going to cost you $7.19. If you go to Starbucks and get yourself a venti mocha frappuccino, it's going to cost you $5. And if you get a blueberry scone to go with it or a chocolate croissant, it's going to cost you another $2.75 for a total of $7.75. So I'm going to average the 3 together and say that if you spend money outside of your home on your way to work or during lunch break, and you spend $7 a day, you're going to be doing that about 6 days a week, let's say, and that's going to cost you $42 a week. 4 weeks in a month is going to cost you $168 a month. Your spouse says, wait a second, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do that. And so boom, your $168 a month times 2 is now up to $336 a month. 12 months a year. And the 2 of you, by having a little treat on your way to work or during lunch break, is going to cost you $4,032, my friend. At the end of 10 years, that's $40,320. I suggest to you that if you want to be a homeowner in Sarasota, Florida, you make a decision to do little things over a longer period of time because it's a cinch by the inch, it's hard by the yard. Little things over a long period of time will make a huge difference in what you have to put down on a home. The Sarasota housing market is a tough market. It's been a red-hot seller's favored market for the last 2 years, but it's changing, and you can get prepared if you'll follow these 6 tips, and you'll be a winner in no time to come. The very quickest way to get your credit score to go up is to pay your bills on time. Never pay them 1 day late. There's a due date on every bill, and then there's usually a 2 or 3 day grace period before they add any penalty to that. And most people make the mistake of saying, well, as long as I pay it before they add the extra penalty, I'm okay. That is not true. That's a mistake on your part. So you should always pay your bills 1 day early, but never 1 second late. The minute the due date crosses over midnight into the next day, your credit score just went down. Pay your bills on time. Then you also have what's called a low credit utilization ratio. You want to make sure that on every credit card, they have a limit of how much you can pay on that card, and you want to make sure that that utilization ratio is below 30%. Key, 30%. You can check the math, just keep it below 30%. So the first thing you can do to get your finances in order and be prepared for a first-time home purchase is to get your credit score up. The second thing that you want to do is to calculate your debt to income ratio. Lenders want to make sure that you have enough money to buy that home that you say that you want to buy. And so your debt to income ratio, or your DTI, is the percentage of your monthly income that you use to pay bills. You want to make sure that that DTI is less than 43%, because the lender is going to look at that, and if it's 44 or above, he's going to have some reason not to work with you. Calculating your DTI is very simple. You add up all of your monthly bills, your credit cards, your car payments, your student loans. Don't include things like groceries and utilities and taxes, but just your monthly bills. And then you take that number and divide it by your gross income, and that is your debt to income ratio. You want to make sure it's what? 43%. So let's review. The first thing you're going to do to improve your chances of winning a contract is to bring your credit score up. You need a minimum of 580. It's better if you get 620, 720, 800, but get your credit score up. Second thing is calculate your debt to income ratio and make sure that it's at least 43%. The third way that you're going to prepare is determine what debts can be paid down. If that debt to income ratio is higher than 43%, you have to do something. You cannot get it any other way. So you're going to have to make decisions. Let me suggest some ways that you can lower that percentage. Bring your credit card spending to a halt. And then take the credit cards, all of the statements. By the way, you should have no more than 2. If you're trying to reduce spending, you should have 2 credit cards, no more. If you've got 7, 8, or 9 credit cards, you're financially irresponsible. You need to get rid of them. So take the one that has the smallest balance so you can pay it off the quickest and be encouraged. Then after you pay that one off, take all of that money that you were paying toward that and put it toward the next lowest one. Pay that one off and then go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. When you have 2 left, you shred up all of the other cards. Get rid of them. They're a temptation to spend what you don't have, and therefore just get rid of them. So get the spending down, get lower interest rates, and try to transfer your credit card balances after you do some careful research. But here's one of the most important tips that I'm going to give you all day. If you do transfer your credit, there are credit companies that will offer you a low credit percentage, but the fine print says that if you are 1 day late on any payment, they are going to charge you an exorbitant interest rate higher than what you previously had, and your problem just got worse. So you're going to have to determine what's going to be paid off. Then you're going to have to deny yourself a little bit, even if it's a cup of coffee, a Big Mac meal, a Chick-fil-A sandwich, or a Starbucks venti. You got to do something different because you need that cash rather than in the register of some merchant. You need it in your bank account saving for that first time home purchase. If I didn't lose you on the spending, because that's the toughest part of this whole deal, then you're probably going to stick with me. So now let me move into preparation step number 4 that will put you in good standing of being ready to make a move in the market. You need to budget for some upfront costs in this purchase. So let me suggest some things that may be new vocabulary to you, but they're very simple. So you're going to need to do each of these things. You need earnest money deposit. Earnest money deposit is going to go on the average rule of thumb 1 to 3%. Now, why is that significant? You don't want to borrow that money because whatever you borrow on a 15 or 30-year mortgage, you're going to pay interest, and that's going to just ching, 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 ching for the next 15 to 30 years. You don't want that. So remember that that $7 a day story that we just told about, and at the end of 1 year, if you'll manage it correctly, it's going to bring $4,032 into your pocket, or $40,320 at the end of 10 years. Earnest money, 1% of $400,000 is $4,000. Bingo, the money's in your pocket. Buying a house is not an event, my friend. It is a process. That's why mortgage lenders give you 30 years to pay off the house. It's a process. Saving, changing habits, not spending as much in here because you prioritize something else for the well-being of your family. So budget. You need an earnest money deposit. Then you also need a down payment. Down payments, on the average rule of thumb, are 3% to 20%. The 20% makes your offer much, much stronger. So if you can get family to gift you with money, if you can find some other ways to get money, a larger percentage of down payment makes the buyer stronger in the eyes of the seller. Also, the interest rate goes down because the lender has less risk involved. So there you have it. Now, another thing that you're going to have to prepare for are closing costs. Closing costs run on the average 2 to 5%. So 2% of $400,000 is going to be $8,000. You're going to have that closing money. You don't want to borrow it unless you absolutely have to. Then you have also the expense that you need to budget called homeowner's insurance. You can't afford to be without homeowner's insurance because the lender won't allow you to. Remember, the lender owns the home and you've promised, a mortgage is a promise to pay back that lender. So he's going to require home insurance. So for $300,000 home, it's going to cost you about $1,200 a month. $400,000 home, it's going to cost you about $13,000 to $15,000 a month. Home inspection is another budgeted item. You say, I don't want to spend that money. It's a brand new home, or I think it looks good, or my dad is a very handy man. Look, I just want to encourage you. That could be the best $500 you'll ever spend. Do you realize that termites don't eat cement block, but they climb up cement block, they get into your roof, which is all made of plywood and 2x4 trusses, and once termites get into your roof will collapse. Get the home inspection. Even if it's a matter of non-negotiating, you can still say, okay, I won't negotiate the price because the seller refuses to do that, but you can back out of the contract based on the inspection. So those items are very, very important items for you to budget for on the front end as you prepare to make your offer on your first home. A couple of other very important things to budget: your moving expenses. Don't think that just because you're going to rent a U-Haul or a Ryder truck and drive it yourself that it's going to not cost you something. I moved from New Jersey to Sarasota, Florida. I rented a 26-foot Ryder truck. It cost me $3,600 for the truck, plus the gas to put in it, plus the insurance to get it here. It's going to cost you something to move, even if you do it yourself. If you get a moving company across country, expect to pay $8,000 to $10,000. You want to have furniture in your home. Maybe you're in a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment now, and you're going to buy a modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath home to get started in your first home purchase. Well, you know, you need furniture, you need beds, you need chairs, you need decor for the wall. So you need to budget for that. You don't want to borrow money to do that. Budget. You can find used stores. You can find really, really good concession stores that will give you excellent quality. And you'll get by just fine for 5 or 10 years until you get on your feet. So, step number 5 that will help you prepare. Calculate how much house you can afford. And then, my friend, whatever you do, you make sure you stay within that budget. Don't let anyone talk you into going higher than what you can afford. Don't even let a mortgage lender talk you into, here, why don't you take another 10 or 15,000? And if you don't need it, you can bring it back. Bad idea. Bad idea. Just determine that you're going to stay within that budget and get the home that you can afford to buy now. The 6th and final step of preparation that I want to encourage you to take is to get yourself a good, trustworthy mortgage lender that will work as a fiduciary. A fiduciary means that that person will put your best interest above their own. So, getting a good mortgage pre-approval is a determination by a lender of the amount that you'll be able to afford. You'll secure that, And then they will provide you with a pre-approval document. And that document states that you're able and willing, in his professional opinion, to purchase that home. Now, note this, don't be disappointed, because a mortgage pre-approval does not guarantee that you're going to get to the closing table. But it does tell the seller that you are very serious about purchasing this home, and that there is a mortgage lender that's equally as serious about working with you to provide the funds for that home. Those two things are extremely important. Now, a pre-approval is not a commitment that the lender is actually going to give you the money. That mortgage lender needs to see an appraisal. Now, there's a big difference between the appraised value of a house and the market value of a house. A market value of the house is determined by the basic rule of economics, supply and demand. How many people want that same house? If 10 people want one house, the price gets driven higher and higher and higher in what we call bidding wars. But if the inventory is very high and 10 people don't want the house and maybe one person does, then supply and demand drives the price. But the appraised value is a professional licensed by the state that does not work on commissions, comes in, looks at that home objectively, and determines the appraised value that you will pay taxes. So the appraised value is almost always lower, especially in a seller's market, than the market value of the home. So just because you have a pre-approval and just because you have a commitment from the lender, you need an appraisal. That appraisal is going to cost you some money, but it's a necessary step. So don't hesitate, just get it done and consider it part of the process. So there you have it, my friend. 6 steps. Let's review them quickly. Preparation step number 1, get that credit score above 620. 580 is the minimum. You want it to be above 700, get the best interest rate you can have by getting the credit score up. Step number 2, calculate your debt to income ratio and make sure that it's at least 43%, but try to get it down to 37, 38%, because that's going to put you in a very strong buying position. Number 3, make as many debts go away as possible. Pay those credit card bills off. Don't buy a new car, new motorcycle. Don't take anything out on credit. Don't buy a new appliance until after you've closed on your mortgage. Don't put anything on credit. Next, budget for upfront costs. Don't pay interest on things that you can deny yourself a cup of coffee, a Big Mac, or a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and have the funds up front. Fifthly, get your mortgage pre-approval. Work with a good lender. Get pre-approved and ready to go. And 6, just make your move. So, my friend, there's some suggestions. You've got money in your pocket that you didn't know you had. You just got to make a decision and then manage it for 52 straight weeks, and you're going to have a year. You do that for 2 years, now you double it. My dad used to say to me, Brent, any fool can spend $1, but it takes a wise man to save one. My friend, I think you're a wise person. I think it's time now for you to just exercise wisdom, make a decision, manage it. You are about to embark on one of the most exciting adventures of your life. You're going to purchase your very first home. Congratulations. Welcome to Gulf Premier Sarasota. I hope you'll come back and visit us real soon. We're going to talk about the 10 best golfing communities in the Sarasota area. Come on back, write me a comment. Make sure now, hit the subscribe right now, hit the share right now, ding that notification bell. I'll see you real soon on Gulf Premier Sarasota. Remember, as the wheel turns on the axle, so the best of housing and living in Florida happens right here in Sarasota.